back in the 70s and 80s, thousands of people were given infected blood by the NHS for illnesses like haemophilia, and many developed HIV or hepatitis C as a result of infected blood. More than 2,000 people have died as a result. And Tony Farrugia from St Neots was a teenager when his dad died. Tony, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to talk to you again. Just remind us what happened to your pa.
My father was infected because of his haemophilia. We found out through his medical notes and his treatments that he was infected with hepatitis B and C in 1977. And then going into the 80s, he was infected with HIV, and also along with both of his brothers as well, because haemophilia is hereditary, so it affected across whole families. It was my dad and both my uncles that were infected. All have since passed away.
So you were 14 when you lost your dad?
That's right, yeah. I was 14 years old. I was actually removed from the family home before my father passed away and placed into local care in Bedfordshire. So I never saw my dad again. He was sectioned under the Mental Health Act around about 1986 and died in September.
What do you make, Tony, of this announcement that there are to be payments of £100,000 to more than 4,000 people who have been affected by this infected blood issue?
Well, firstly, I do welcome those payments. Obviously, I know a lot of the infected who are still alive, and I welcome those payments, but unfortunately, it doesn't go far enough. If you take, for example, my family, there were 3 victims in my family, my dad and 2 uncles, and all have passed away. Only 2 of those families will receive this payment. The 3rd family won't, because the widow has died. So therefore, they're not registered with the scheme, because at the moment, this payment is only for people who are currently registered with the scheme that's already in place. Now, the government do have a full report that they commissioned, a compensation framework for Sir Robert Francis. And I think what we're calling for, and many other campaigners are calling for, is for the government to implement the full recommendations of that report, as well as the report from the inquiry, so that they encompass the whole range of people infected and affected. Because, as I said, one family member will not receive these payments, and it just sends out a message that the government don't care. Why is this one family within our group worth less? They won't receive this payment because there is no widow. There's many examples, like for the children. We have several children in the group that lost both parents because dad infected mum because he wasn't told that he was HIV positive, and both parents have died. So that family isn't registered. So that's sort of where we're at. It just seems to be another case of the government paying out as little as possible, but making it look like they're actually doing something. They've had this report from Sir Robert Francis since March. It's now August, and they still haven't acted, and it's only today, with the added recommendation from Sir Brian from the inquiry, who I should point out, this isn't the inquiry's fault that this has gone the way it's gone. Like I say, who won't receive that payment. So I think it's time for the government now to implement fully the recommendations of Sir Robert Francis and to encompass everybody infected and affected, and not just handpick certain groups, which is what's going to happen.
And Tony, just spell out for us, because it goes without saying that no amount of money can make up for a child losing their dad as a teenager. And no amount of money can make up for a child losing both of their parents, when if they hadn't been given infected blood by the people who were meant to be helping make them well, those parents would likely have lived on. What is this compensation for? What does it do? Why is it important?
Well, obviously, firstly, this compensation that's being announced today, it's only an interim payment. This won't actually be full compensation. This is just giving people something now, certainly the people who are infected, who are dying at a rate of 1 every 4 days. This will at least give them some money to get their house in order before they pass away, to make sure that their family are secure. And then, obviously, when the inquiry reports, hopefully full compensation will be paid to everybody. But unfortunately, we're not there at the moment. So, yeah, it's for a lot of families out there today, this is just rubbing salt in the wounds, especially for parents as well who lost children. They're not registered with these schemes either because the government has never allowed that to happen. And like I say, they have got a report from Sir Robert Francis that says that these groups should be included, and that's not happened. That hasn't happened today. So there's a lot of families out there today that this is literally just another kick in the teeth, and we're just going to have to wait. So, yeah, it's like I say, we do welcome the report from the inquiry, the interim payments. We welcome that because, we are seeing the effect of what's happened on these families that are still living with these viruses. So we do welcome that, and it should have happened a long time ago. But it doesn't go far enough.
Yeah, not quite what you were hoping for. Tony, appreciate you speaking to us. Thank you very much. Tony Farrugia there from St Neots, who was a teenager when his dad died of AIDS.